All right. So the next project we're going to make that has to do with the book that you're reading is we are going to make the Ingalls Family. Now in your packet you will have these wooden dolls. And so here's Pa. This is Ma. She's got the dress. And we've got the children. We even have a little baby. So I'm going to show you how to paint these and make them, okay? For your supplies, you're going to need your paints and a place to put your paints. Remember we talked about it being a plastic lid or a wax paper or paper plate, something where you can mix your paint and put your paint on. And you need a paintbrush. You need a watering jar. So you'll need your watering jar. And that's to wash your paintbrushes. And then you'll need some paper towel or some napkin or some paper to dry your brush on so that the colors don't all get muddy and mixed up together. Okay, so I've got my brush and I'm going to mix this until it becomes orange. So probably need a little bit more yellow. There we go. All right, so that looks pretty orange to me, and I'm going to add the blue in there. And I'm going to keep mixing until I get a desired brown. Just kind of starting to look purple, but let me see if I can add a little bit more blue. Okay, kind of looks gray. So we probably need to add more orange or more yellow. Let's see. And it's good to experiment. Okay, well, let's see. Probably needs a little more red. Just add a little bit. Okay. So I think I've got the brown that I want. If you want your brown to be lighter, you can add more yellow and a little bit more red or even white. So I am going to start painting, and I'm going to try to paint where the pencil marks are. Now, if you have a small thin brush at home, I would use a thin brush because it's easier to get into those details. Okay, are we going to paint over his mouth? We're going to be very careful not to paint over his mouth. But if by chance you do not worry, because we can just paint over it and make his mouth. Okay, so let's color the back of his head. Make sure the back of his head isn't bald. All right. We're going to come around this way. This might be a little hard for you, but do not worry. Okay. Just try to go as slow as you can around the areas. Okay. So this is tricky because your paint might get onto the other side, and don't worry if it does, because like I said, we can paint over it once it dries. Okay. Okay, I can already see Pa's face coming out. There's his beard. Make sure you don't paint over his. Okay. So there's Pa with his furry, hairy face. Not furry, hairy. Okay. All right. All right. So I washed my brush off of the color, unless you want someone else's hair to be brown as well. So I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to use what brown I have and paint the rest of her hair. Now there's another color you can use to make brown. And it might have a different shade than this one, but and you're welcome to, explore that. You don't have to use this color. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to wash my paintbrush. And I'm going to do a lighter, how about a yellow? Let's use yellow for, I believe it's Carrie's hair. Okay. That's Ma. Now she's the one that has the long hair. Which is right here. This is hard. I hope. Don't worry if you make a mistake and you realize you didn't paint in the lines. This is not easy. But I wanted you to have some dolls to play with as you're reading the book. And as you're watching this, if you're allowed to write comments, you can tell me what the favorite part of your book is so far. There. So she's got long hair. Okay, so we're going to set her aside. Okay, so I need to make another brown, but a lighter brown. So let's see if I can do this. And it'll probably look more orange. Yeah, that's a good color. So more yellow, less red. And we'll make that Ma's hair color. And the babies. I hope everyone's having a it's not really a break, is it? But I hope you're all safe and well. And no one's sick. You know, these are hard times, especially for your parents. We've all sort of been thrown into this unprepared. We don't know what we're doing all the time. It's very new to a lot of us. And so how can we help our parents during this time? Well, you're wanting to help your parents, I would try to be patient with them as they try to figure out this new normal. And hopefully you're making good memories with them, even in the chaos of it all. Okay, so then let's do the baby. One of the things that my family has really enjoyed doing are games. We never played board games as much as we do now. I wonder what your favorite board game is. My children have recently been introduced to Monopoly, but it's the kids' version. I don't know if you've ever played Monopoly, but that used to be one of my favorite games growing up. Okay, so there's the baby. Okay, now, since I have no room here, I'm going to fold this up, make new room. This is probably not an ideal place to mix paint, but that's okay. We're going to color, there's a lot of white. So let's go through all the dolls and color the parts white. Make sure you wash your paintbrushes really well, or your white might have streaks of different colors in it. Which, if you're going for that look, is fine. You don't have to follow these colors, guys. If you want Pa to have a different shirt color, you are welcome to do that. Okay, so hopefully by now this paint is dry. Pa's paint is hopefully dry because he's been sitting there just drying while we have been painting the other little family members. So in the example, you'll see that his shirt is white. And this white is really, you might need a lot of paint. Because as you can see, this is very transparent. It's not as thick. If you've got white acrylic paint at home, I recommend using that. Oops, his shirt's kind of going up. So you can get a paper towel and just wipe it. See how easy that came off? Okay. All right, I'm having to put a little more white on because there we go. All right, and then like I said, we're going to paint over his buttons because his buttons are going to go on top. But actually, you can still see the pencil marks there. Okay. So I know it's really hard to paint in the lines, but go slow. See, even Miss Sarah can't do a good job. So don't feel bad if you're not able to. Don't get too frustrated. There we go. Okay. So there's Pa, and then Ma's got a white apron on. So we're just going to paint this part right here. And as you're holding this, you're probably grabbing the paint. So I would recommend holding it like this. Where your hand's on the top and your thumb's on the bottom. That way you can paint without grabbing the paint. And turn it, and paint again. Boy, this white is really thin. There we go. And that's okay if it is. We'll just keep adding layers until we're happy with it. Okay. So you'll have to excuse my children. They will be in the background because That's just how it is right now. Okay.
Mommy?
Yep.
Let's show.
Okay. So for this, she's got a white apron. This. And then her dress is going to be pink. And then for her dress is going to be green. So we're just gonna paint this. Boy, Pa's got all girls. He does not have any boys. But they sure do have a lot of fun, don't they? And the girls, they pick up on the chores, don't they? Okay. Now for Ma, she's got a light blue shirt on. So we're going to mix a tiny bit of blue with the white. There's a pretty light blue. So we'll grab Ma. The paint's most likely going to be still wet. So make sure you grab the top and the bottom like this. And we'll just paint her. Try not to get frustrated. This requires a lot of patience. But hopefully you'll have something to play with. You'll have toys to play with. So you're kind of making your own toys to play with, if that makes sense. Which is a lot of fun. And you can show Miss Stephanie and tell her what you've been up to. If she asks you, how are you reviewing the book? Well, you can use these dolls. Tell her how you've been reenacting the storyline through play. Okay, this part's a little tricky. Oop. Okay, now look. Do you see where my finger touched the paint there? Do not worry. You can go back and paint that over once it dries. Okay, the next color is pink. So now, in order to make pink, I just need a very tiny amount of red and more white. So I would use more white. Okay, so pink and white. Remember, we're going to hold the top of her head and her bottom part. We're going to make her dress pink. We're going to slowly turn it without touching the paint if we can. Slowly, slowly. Slowly turn it. Now remember, we colored this white, so we have to paint around it. Boy, this is teaching you a lot about patience, isn't it? Even Miss Sarah. Okay, so that's pink. And the next dress is going to be green, but a light green. So let's see if I can get this. I'm going to get green and white and mix it together. We only need a very smidgen. That's what you call it when it's small. A smidgen amount of green. But like I said, you don't have to follow these colors. If you want their dresses to be different colors, you can do that. Okay, so let's color Laura Ingalls' dress green. Okay, so it looks like I need more paint. The weather these days have been so nice. It's so nice to be able to have nice weather and play outside. The timing of it is really great. Can you imagine if it was winter and not sunny and we were stuck inside? There's always something to be thankful for. Okay, so let's turn her head. And I just found another way to hold the dolls is you can just hold their heads too. Okay, last one. We're going to make it yellow and white. Like I said, you can make these any color you want. This is just what I've chosen. As an example, okay? Okay. Okay. These are so cute. Tiny little people. All right, there. Okay, so the one last thing we have to do is Pa's overalls are brown. So we're going to do this whole thing again. Or you can make them black. You don't have to make it brown, and this might look more purple because I'm running out of yellow. That's okay. I'm gonna grab paw. Let's get that. Well, maybe it does look brown. Okay, I'm gonna grab his head so that I won't touch the paint. Oops. Oh no. I had paint on my hand and I got paint on his face. Now he looks like a pirate. Okay, once you've gotten that all painted, he's got his overalls on. I'm going to wet this paper towel in hopes of making Pa not a pirate. Let's see. Well, it's kind of coming off. I'll just have to make it into an eye. Okay, so there's Pa, Ma. Is it Carrie? Or is it Mary? I think Carrie's the little one, right? And this is Laura. I think that's Carrie. Hopefully, you know all the names of the characters. It's been a while since I've read that book. or seen the show. Okay, so now we're going to let the dolls dry. And once they're dry, you're finished. And you can go ahead and, actually you're not finished, sorry. So the next thing is you have to get a marker because we forgot to add the buttons and the eyes. All right. Before we add the eyes and the buttons, I would let the paint dry. And once you're sure that it's completely dry, go ahead and make small dots for his eyes. See that? And then we're going to add his buttons, which are also small dots. Okay, so let's add Ma's eyes and her smile. And she's also got one button right there. And then, sorry, you're hearing the tornado siren. I'm sure once you see this, it'll be Thursday, so you probably heard it yesterday. Whew. Okay. Okay. So now you've made your family. And then you're done. So all you have to do is wait for it to dry. And now you have your little house in the woods family. Okay, I hope that was helpful in teaching you how to make the dolls, and I hope you can have some really fun, imaginative play with them.